Okay, recording has started.
Okay, recording has started. Call the meeting to order. Andrew Eloquin, Chris Kovac, David Liu, Paul Adair, Martha Ginther, Mary Stevens, all present. Approval of minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review 2 months ago's minutes? Any corrections? With that, the minutes are approved for the previous meeting. Now it's time for public comments. Do we have any? You're just observing, right? Okay, thank you. So moving on into regular business. I believe we've got a park operations report from Rick Silva.
He said he's going to introduce himself.
I know, Jack, do you want to do
I will. I'd be happy. Rick still. Rick has been our park operations manager for 3 years now. You might recall through some of our budget reductions and budget changes, we had to reorganize our leadership team. Rick has brought a wealth of experience when he came to the city. Previously, he was the Parks and Recreation Director in the city of Tukwila for 10 years. With that experience, Rick is now Assistant Director. So not only overseeing park operations, but also providing direct day-to-day leadership for our recreation team. Great to have Rick here. You know that we've tried to set a cadence a couple times a year to come provide you some just operational updates from park operations. As well as recreation. Tonight will be a focus on park operations. This has been a crazy winter, as you'll see in this update. The team has done amazing work, really called into action with the really truly historic wind event. And Issaquah really was, bless you, the epicenter of that. And so Rick's here to provide an overview of all that work. As you're hearing this work, though, and I don't know how much Rick is going to go into detail, winter is an important time for park ops, and we're often preparing. We're wrapping up sort of the growth season and getting ready for our current growth season. We have really important work we want to get done. Some of that had to take a time out because of the wind work. So this is going to be a different and pretty impressive spring for the park ops team. They've been nothing short of pretty amazing what they've done. So sorry for the long introduction, Rick, but take it away.
Perfect. These will last more than 5 minutes, right? So we go.
You can just stay seated if you want.
Well, I can't see everybody.
like
I'd rather see everybody. Yeah, so thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the introduction. And we'll just get on with park operations. Been here, I think, just once before. You'll probably see me more often. I'll be also presenting recreation unless I can twist the recreation staff to come, which I think is good. So the park operations division is split into two different sections. Most recently named one of them park stewardship and the other was park operations. But park stewardship is the urban forestry park ranger and then green Issaquah coordinator and volunteers. We'll get into some of the events they're doing later in the presentation. Park operations is mostly maintenance. We do all the ball field preps, mowing all the lawns, and we will soon be cleaning tennis courts over here. So quite a few different large variety of things. And Jeff was saying normally we finish leaf season, get all the leaves out of beds and areas where we need to spray coming early spring, which would have been a couple weeks ago when it was semi-dry, but we were interrupted. We didn't finish all that work, and our staff spent from November 20th to about February 15th every day cleaning up tree wood. So it was like we usually have an early morning meeting. So what are we going to do today? And it's like chainsaws out, and here we go. So the way we responded to the storm event was we went through and did a windshield analysis, see what was really, really bad, what needed to be taken care of right away. We took care of that. And then we started with the trails, opening up Rainier Trail, Pickering Trail, got those all just getting stuff to the side. You wouldn't believe that nobody was at work because we had no power. So everybody's out in the parks and on the trails. So then we went to the parks and we cleared out all the trails that we could just moving things to the side. And that took about 3 weeks just to push stuff aside. Yeah, here's Confluence. You can see the tree just missed the restroom. And then Depot Park was heavily treed, falling down everywhere. Confluence was the most painful to me as we went by, just seeing every time I see it, just break my heart. Just this last Thursday, we took out the 3 remaining trees that were still dangerous. We just as soon as we get the contractor back. And we spent every day since cleaning up. We have just a touch-up work for tomorrow. So the one cotton was 5 feet in diameter. So 2 chunks of it would fill a dump truck. You know, that's how big it was. So yeah, we just finished that, and then so once we cleared things so we can get people moving again, then we went back and did the same route, but then we started hauling stuff out, and that's what took forever. We did not do too much else during the time except rounds, which is trash, bathroom cleaning, litter. So we do that still a couple, 3 days a week. Other than that, we did tree. And we spent over 2,900 hours in that time period. That's like 1.25, 1.33 people that hours we lost to the storm. And then we also had to rent equipment. We rented an excavator for 3 months just to pick up and haul the stuff. Because Public Works, all their equipment was being used on their stuff. So we just have a Bobcat. So we weren't really able to do as much as we could with the excavator. We don't have the tonnage for us, but there's 440 tons taken out citywide. And that includes 3 events that we worked at, 2 community events that people brought their debris to Tibbetts Valley Park over here in the parking lot. And we loaded it up and Recology hauled away just all day long, early morning, evening, for 3 Saturdays, almost in a row. We had a Thanksgiving in between. So once we got everything, that's what the park operations crew did. The urban forest team, Dan Hess, I'm sure you've heard of a couple times. He runs, him and Matt Meckler. So he's an urban forest supervisor, Matt's the park operations supervisor. They work with the contractors and consultants to get the trees evaluated in the parks, trails, and then all of our property that's near open space that is near homes. We had to go out and evaluate those too, as many did fall close along fences, or unfortunately not too many on homes. So a lot of consultant time to go out and evaluate what's there. Does it need to be removed? And then we had the contractor come out and then remove them. So it's been a pretty long process. And so I'll prioritize within our city and also whatever else they have to do, the contractors, consultants have to do. There's many times when there's a tree on a house where they couldn't come do our work because that's their priority. So that's part of the spreading out the workload. They also worked with city trees that fell across the creek. And if we can get the emergency permit, we were able to move the woody debris. Most of it we stored up on the sides because it has to go back in the creek. We still have several logs that are going across the creek that didn't meet the emergency criteria, basically because it spanned the entire creek. It wasn't in the water. It wasn't causing any potential flooding items. So that's pretty much where we're at on those trees. There's been some really fun operations to watch as they have a 90-foot crane to come in and they hook up to the tree, they cut it, they haul it, lay it down and put it in the back of a big long haul truck and just haul it away. Pretty impressive operation, but yes.
Totally curious, assuming it's not blocking a trail, stream, fence, and it just fell in the grove of trees, you just leave it?
We've left almost everything. You can even see their confluence where we have uprooted trees that are laying in the wooded areas. We've left some of the trees we've pushed into that area just because it'll rot over time. Yeah. Margaret's Meadow, the other side of confluence, is got the whole road, like 9 trees that all fell down. We cleared off the trail and left it. And the last thing we're working on, besides that, continually doing the contract, and we're still doing consultant work, contract work, is we located all of our tree stumps. So what's left, the mess that's out there, and we all put it on our fields map. So we go out, put it on our map. I did a priority or evaluation of it, and is it safety issue? Is it just aesthetics? And we're putting together a bid packet to go on and have contractors. We are out of time. We're already mowing, so we're out of time. So we're putting a bid packet together to take care of those priority items first, and then work through those as we can over the next couple years, probably, if it's not an emergency or a high priority. And that's pretty much the 3 R's of what I've been calling it. So removal, restoration of the area, and then replanting. And we're starting some of that replanting April 5th as part of our Arbor Day project. We'll be starting that Arbor Day program. We're starting that at Confluence Park. Already have the trees, really good shape. They look really nice.
The bigger trees you typically put in, right?
Yeah, so they're not the little twigs. They're actually B&B, bare root, burlap. So there will be a big hole, stick them in, stake them up. But yeah, it's a much greater variety than was out there. We are putting a willow back where the willow was, but we'll get a lot of blooming trees out there too that will not grow 120 feet tall, which become these dangerous trees. And we're not planting cottonwoods, in case you love cottonwoods. So there's just a few pictures of some of the trail work we did. Just one, the one on the left, so to show the girth that we were running into. We took care of most of the trees. There are trees which are high up that we don't take care of, or they just have tension that we know is going to spring or pop. We left that to the guys that do trees every day. So the one on the bottom is Rainier Trail. So that's what we had to clear for people, just push to the side to get people to be able to move. And then we also had the WCC, Washington Conservation Corps, help us. Normally they are out in the woods, removing blackberry from open space, but they spend a lot of time doing storm removal as well. So we're hoping to get them back in this year, possibly to fill in a couple of more weeks of work that they normally do. So that's Salmon Run Park, Bernstein Park, sorry. You can see where the fence was taken out, and then the whole park looked like that mess there. And then they were able to clean it all up. So they haul it back out and put it in a dumpster, and we haul it away. So it's been a good team to work with. Tree replacements, this is from Dan's slide that he made to council. Actually, we had over 250 trees, almost 300 trees that we lost in our parks or right away, not including open space. We estimated over 1,000 trees up in the woods that we lost. So about $275,000 to replace after we remove the stump, restore the land to where you can plant. Some of the stumps we may leave in place, so the tree won't go in the exact spot, it'll go next door, and that's all identified on the map system I mentioned earlier. Oh, wow, I jumped ahead. We already talked about Arbor Day. Good stuff. Green Issaquah events, we have a few coming up, quite a few actually. The big kickoff will be Arbor Day coming up, followed up by Earth Day. So Arbor Days, like I mentioned, is at Confluence Park. It's going to be a fun time, a lot of good stuff going on there. Like I said, on the trees, and there's big piles of wood chips there to deal with. So I don't want to read these to you. Next week after that is Earth Day, so we're having a special event. It's a Costco event at Pickering Reach and Kimberly Clark. It's a private event. We have several of those. And you can see on the next slide. Nope, it's at the last slide, sorry. Some of the work that's been done out there. This one is at Gibson Eck. They have internship programs, and if kids don't sign up for internship programs, then they get selected to work with us, which is really good. It's really close. The pool's really close. One of the projects they had was there wasn't a whole lot of trees or branches in this particular area. It's just boughs and a little few limbs. They spent 2/3 days on their internship time cleaning that up. So I think they'll probably get an internship next time. Oh, and then last weekend, yeah, we had a big event going on, which was really cool. I don't know how to say the name.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. There we go. I knew I could get it. I knew I could get it. Milwaukee. So our staff went in and cleaned up, rototilled, brought in all kinds of soil. So this is a special way to do planting in urban settings. Becoming more of a norm. That's a new way. So we did all the prep work, and then on the next slide you can see that we had a lot of a group of people put out the plants where they go, and then we had 25, I think it was, volunteers plant all of those plants, 600 plants in that very, very small area. You guys know where this is on Dogwood? Okay, right before, if you're going east, right before, yeah, right across the bridge before you get to Front Street. So anyway, it's all planted now. The pack was due before I could get that in there, but it's a fun event. It was really wet. It rained, and then it rained really hard. Everybody came out muddy, except me. I didn't get dirty. So.
Great event. If I could add, I think the Milwaukee Forest approach is innovative in that it makes sense, but whereas a lot of replanting events focus on the plants, the Milwaukee Forest approach really takes intentionality in the soil as well. And so a lot of soil amendment work that was done ahead of time by the team. And what's found with sort of this dense planting and a higher concentration and focus on the soil, there's a lot quicker growth in terms of reforestation. So we look forward to seeing how this sort of pilot looks and works here in town. And hopefully it's something that we can emulate through future green Issaquah events and how we want to replant and reforest key areas in town.
Yeah, and April 24th, we're going to go back and bark it. So we're dropping some piles of wood chips out there for them to spread out there. So it's been a real good, lots of people. I recognize actually a few faces from other events. Our WCC site coordinator is actually out there with his wife. So that was fun. Yeah, good event. And then I'll get to the Costco event, the private event. And that highlighted granted obtained was supposed to actually tell you the name of the grant, and that we got $18,000. That's for me to go back to, so I apologize on that one. But now you know we got a grant for that, and you see the before and after, and then we look forward to more changes out there as well. Been a very committed group of people working out there. So. That's exciting times of the storm response. Any questions? Yeah.
Has there been an assessment like of the 1,000 fallen trees in open space of the fire risk with those, or any sense of that at all in the coming summer? Or?
Not of the ones that have fallen, no.
Yeah, I think overall, in terms of our forests, surrounding forests, there is continued work happening between the city, our own emergency management folks, us in parks, Issaquah Rescue, and looking at our fire preparedness and fire prevention. So, yeah, we've not done a tree by tree analysis of those 1,000 trees, but we certainly will be paying attention to understory and, how to prioritize the value of retaining some of those trees for habitat. Because that's what naturally happens in the forest, but making sure we're not creating a fire risk.
Usually not in one night, though.
What's that?
Usually not in one night.
Right, right.
Not all of us.
Tim has a question.
So I think Tim's hands up.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, great presentation. So obviously you're focusing on the parks and what have you, and that's appropriate. But I'm also aware that there are places like up on Squawk on the east side by the old Grizz Trail, the East Side Trail, that just absolutely got hammered. Just impressive if you were familiar with the area and what it looks like now. And I would assume that's outside of the scope, but I just wondered if you can speak to any replanting projects that may be done up there, or will it be left for nature to take its course?
But we do have plans on getting out into the open spaces to start replanting. That will not be right away. And they will be more of the smaller, 1 foot tall plant that gets in the ground. So it won't be going in and putting like red confluence. We're putting in big trees. So yes, there's some plans towards that, as well as cleaning up all those trails. Because right now you go to it, and basically from edge to edge is all you got. So we're going to go in and do all that. But that's hopefully happening some of that this summer. But it depends who we can get under contract, because we have no staff time for that right now. But
So Tim, if I could add, Rick is working with Dan. We're yes, putting together plans for replanting, reforesting, both within our parks and streetscapes, but also the open space areas. I think as Rick said earlier, that's a pretty hefty price tag the city doesn't have right now. We realize it's going to be a multi-year effort. But yes, there will be plans in place and priorities for areas of how and when we replant in a number of those open space areas.
Right, Jeff, that makes perfect sense. And I know on Squawk in particular, there's a lot of overlapping jurisdictions. So I didn't know if we were coordinating with the county or, whomever to try to, multiply the efforts that are being done and make sure there's no overlap or duplication of effort.
Yeah, absolutely. We will prioritize the city on land, but as always, we'll be partnering with the other public landowners. What Rick mentioned, our relationship with Washington Conservation Corps, that's just a great example of how we work between jurisdictions. They're a group out of the State Department of Ecology. Tons of interjurisdictional conversation as we're doing all this work.
Thank you.
Any questions?
yeah, so East Sunset Trailhead, you notice that all the lines aren't straight out there for who owns what. We were very unfortunate that the line went this way and that way, because all the trees that fell on the homes were not ours. So DNR is actually dealing with those and the homeowners on that one. But you still see look up the hill, and those are trees, and not the ones that fell on the house.
Yeah, it's a great example of sort of a jigsaw property line. So the State Department of Natural Resources and us are constantly in communication.
Yeah. Matt is really good on the map. So we get a lot of calls about our stuff. It's King County usually, so that's nice. Anything else? Thank you.
I don't know, we're moving along. On the reports, so Jeff, you have multiple items, correct?
I've got multiple items, so I don't know if you want to go first or do you want me to jump right in? Happy to.
I'll say I have just like a 5-sentence report. I'll do it at the end.
Okay. Something I'm going to share
Sure.
my screen, see if I can find the presentation. Hi all, multitasking here. I can't find the PowerPoint presentation there. How am I doing? Hey, I'm sharing. Great. So hi all, a number of items to update you. I will take these.
Can you just make it full screen? There you go.
Yeah, there we go. One at a time. I need to make it now so I can see. That's so fun. A number of items to update you on. It's certainly been a very, very busy couple of months. Knowing we didn't have a chance to meet, didn't have a meeting in January. One of the items that early February I wanted to update you on were some recent park acquisitions we have been working on over a number of years. Last month, February 24th, a month ago tonight, we took to City Council 2 property acquisitions. I'm sharing with you this slide. This is the slides that Robin and I showed following the executive session, so what we showed that night, just so I can highlight these 2 properties and their priority. We'll add these to the minutes so that they're in the public record for this meeting as well. But these 2 acquisitions represent, come on, slideshow. Here we go. Yay. This first one is what we call the Kilkari property on Squaw Mountain. You may be familiar with, is my cursor there? Sort of working. Sorry, I wish I had a laser pointer. This green parcel is known as the Weymouth property that we purchased in 2022. The Kilkari piece is really the adjoining piece, this yellow property, 17.7 acres. If you're familiar with the name Kilkari, there was multiple phase development. There are 2 townhome condo projects, phase 1 and phase 2, that were completed on the north side of Sunrise. This was the planned phase 3. We felt this was a priority opportunity for the city to consider purchasing, really namely to reinforce and really formalize a strong corridor from the valley floor up into Squaw Mountain. So when you look at all the trails, the trail system within Squaw and the state park, there's not a lot of direct public access from the valley floor and from Old Town. This acquisition combined with what was accomplished with the Weymouth property really creates that strong corridor opportunity for some smaller loop trails within these 2 properties, but then a much stronger connection to the state park. This red trail that's on this map is existing. One of the key reasons for this purchase and negotiation with Kilkari was, one, even if the proposed development was going to happen, this current existing trail was never formalized with an easement. So it was pretty important to preserve that, either through a trail easement or ultimately what is turned into an acquisition. A few facts about this. I mentioned 17.5 acres, provides that strong assemblage with Weymouth. It also creates an opportunity with its frontage on Sunrise for an opportunity for them to consider a trailhead in that location. There's really not a trailhead to get access to Squaw Mountain. If you remember from our park strategic plan, one of our goals for our system is to be that gateway into all the Alps. As we've talked over the years, we all know the strength of our connection to West Tiger and Tiger Mountain through decades of hard work by this community. We're playing catch up a little bit with Cougar Mountain. Thus, in 2019, the acquisition of the Bergsma piece, really strengthening that corridor. We feel like this Kilkari purchase and the Weymouth purchase becomes that really strong future corridor for connectivity up into Squaw Mountain. Purchase price was $2.5 million. This is going to be a delayed closing, meaning we're going to have till spring of in the March of next year. We'll actually close on it. That's going to give us a grant cycle. We've already submitted a grant for King County Conservation Futures grant funds. We'll be going through that application process here in the coming months and the review process. End of April, in fact, we have a tour date already scheduled with the review committee on that. So we're hopeful that a good portion of this acquisition will be done through those grant dollars. I need to read the motion tonight. This is the motion that council took to approve it. The other properties here on the valley floor, for context, all of this green space, Veterans Memorial Field, here's Front Street and Old Town, our pedestrian park project and our senior centers right here. This Canoon property is a small, relatively small parcel that provides connection to the Cora property. The Cora property is this triangle that was purchased years ago as a life estate. Just recently was turned over to City of Issaquah operation. We haven't labeled it. This squiggly line is the East Fork of Issaquah Creek. The East Fork in this area has notoriously been channelized and has been susceptible to blockage and some flooding over the years. So one of our strategies, not only for creating a stronger connection from Cora and the neighborhood into Veterans Memorial Field and Old Town and all the investment we're making here, but also give some opportunity for some creek restoration as we continue to pursue planning and acquisition on that East Fork. So much smaller than the Kikari piece, 0.1 acres. Connectivity and the salmon recovery efforts are a high priority for the city, not only parks, but public works, stormwater, as well as sustainability teams. This purchase price was $900,000. We'll be closing on this later this spring, the end of May. I also would note, as we made this acquisition, we have been working with RCO, the Recreation Conservation Office in the state of Washington. There is potential need, as you might recall, as we've talked with you all about Sammamish Cove Park. Sorry to complicate things. Sammamish Cove Park is the property near Lake Sammamish State Park that Washington Department of Transportation is planning to do some work on. There's been some other commitments the city's made over the year. There's potential need for doing some conversion should that work happen. Part of this strategic purchase is not only for that connectivity, as I was saying earlier, but could serve as a conversion site if needed in the future. So that's the Canoon property. I'm going to turn this off. Any questions about those purchases? Again, council took action already. Just wanted to make sure you were in the loop. And again, if you have any questions on those, happy to answer them. Sure. Hearing none, I'm going to continue on. Perhaps, Ms. Salty, when I get to the project updates, do you mind sharing the slides? Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. So next update I wanted to provide is King County Parks Levy. Many of you probably know, probably for 20 some years now, King County Parks every 6 years has gone out to voters asking for a parks levy. It started in 2004 as an emergency levy to keep their park system open at a time when they were transferring many of their community parks to cities, transferring their pools to cities. This parks levy has gone through multiple 6-year iterations. It's now grown into really fully funding their growing county park system. As cities have seen what is being proposed for this renewal that's going to likely go to voters sometime this fall, cities, not just Issaquah, but cities throughout the county are beginning to express some pretty major concerns. Not that we don't support the county park system. Huge support for the county park system and what that regional park system and regional trails really do. But what as cities, we collectively are beginning to communicate and communicate in a much stronger way these last couple of months is there's 30 plus local park systems, city park systems that really comprise the backbone of what parks is for communities. And those have been grossly underfunded as this levy has continued to increase to a point where cities are really concerned about proportionality. For example, Issaquah in the proposed levy, at least in what's proposed right now before the King County Council, about $4 million of revenue would be collected from Issaquah property owners. Under 8% of that would be directly reallocated back to the city to support the city park system and city parks. As cities, we want to make sure there's a voice, and rather than being a single city trying to communicate that, cities are working with some of our bigger collective groups. Sound Cities Association is a group that represents all cities. Again, a lot of communication happening between the elected officials, between park professionals, between city administrators and city managers. Just wanted to make you aware of that context and conversation. If you hear cities are pushing back a little bit, it's not that cities are anti-regional park system. We very much value the county park system. We just believe that residents who are both supporting financially the county park system also think it's really important that they have vibrant, healthy, quality city park systems as well. So much more to come in the coming weeks. I'll have probably more of an update to you to provide through the spring and summer as that levy package begins to take shape. But please stay informed and see where that goes.
Jim's got his hand up.
Questions on that? Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, I just wanted to make sure I understood you correctly, that for every dollar is collected from Issaquah property owners, 8 cents comes back to Issaquah Parks. Is that what you said?
That's correct. In terms of a direct allocation to the city. Correct. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, where somebody's getting more money than they're putting in, we're not getting anywhere near the amount. Can you share a little bit more about how that what that looks like at a little higher level?
Yeah, so this is the King County Parks has a regional park system, right? So when you think of the Burt Gilman Trail and the East Lake St. Annis Trail and Marymore Park and many of the county parks in unincorporated county areas, that's where a bulk of the funding is going. It fully funds their park operations. As I said, over the decades, this levy is, in my opinion, is representing an investment between the regional park system and the local park system that was never really intended. It feels from us as park professionals disproportionate when you look at, and even when residents are surveyed as part of this community outreach for this levy, so many of the resident responses, their priorities were access to their local parks, improvements to their neighborhood parks, better access to trails in and around and through their city. So, sorry, I'm going beyond answering your question. I apologize. So it's funding the county park system. It's not funding the same 8-9% is what other cities are getting as well.
Okay, so Issaquah is on par with the other cities. It's just going for the other county park systems. The other 92% is going to fund the county park systems, and all the other cities are contributing at essentially the same rate.
And other programs, exactly. There are other, and there's information if you go to the county website, does a much better job than what I'm saying in terms of where your investment is going. There's other facilities that have been deemed regional that get a pretty good portion of this. Woodland Park Zoo, the Seattle Aquarium, a number of those. Again, really, really important investments and assets that, again, aren't meant to say they're not important, but the bulk of that investment is going, is going a wide variety of places other than city park systems.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly.
A question, is there anything at this stage for like citizen level to do, high pressure or anything that at this stage we can do?
Yeah, great question, Paul. I don't think so. I don't think there's enough, there's no there. What has been the county executive has proposed, what they want, what he wants as the levy package. That's now before the King County Council. Again, I think there's a web page that does a good job of spelling out what the executive's proposal is. If you as a resident wanted to take a look at that, and if you had concerns or questions, you could contact your King County Council rep, Councilmember Sarah Perry, and voice those questions or concerns. I would say in the next 2 to 3 weeks, County Council's set to make a decision. So again, a lot of discussion happening. This is really beginning to bubble up. So I would say in the next couple of weeks, as I said earlier, next month or so, we'll have a better idea of what next steps might be. Not enough time for any sort of collective, but certainly as individual residents, you're welcome to get informed. All right, next item, in line with, thank you, Rick, again, for really highlighting our park operations team. If you remember that opening slide, we have really, what we've, I think, done a great job of in the city and through support of the mayor, through support of the city council, through great work of staff. We've really strengthened our natural resources division within park operations with Dan as our urban forest supervisor. The establishment of the Green Issaquah program is really starting to take root. Our park ranger is really starting to, I think, be that very visible ambassador within our park system. All of those programs take resources. And as the urban forest management plan was recently adopted, as we saw some of the vulnerability of our forest here through the recent storm, the mayor is wanting to convene community members to sort of talk about the natural resources side of what we do and have I don't know that it has a formal name. I'm going to make up this name, sort of a forestry summit has been called, and the mayor is going to be hosting it here April 10th at the Manor. Really meant to just be an opening conversation with community voices to say, hey, is this work important to you? Here's what we've done the last 5 or 6 years in this field. Is this of value to you? And if so, how do we look at creative ways of either getting additional private investment to help support our work, or to quite frankly leverage more and do more of this work? Again, that'll be April 10th. If any of you are interested in being there, let me know or let Hasanti know, and we'll make sure to get an invitation coming your way. All right, where do I want to go next? A lighter topic, summer day camps. Here comes summer. Little highlight on our recreation side. Summer day camps have always been a very interesting needle to thread, in that we do registration on a given day. And this last Saturday was our first day of registration. We sometimes fill those in 10 minutes, and we don't necessarily find that to be, it's great. It's sort of a badge of honor, like, wow, what a popular program. But it isn't quite the customer service that we want to provide. And so recreation staff through this last winter has done a great job. We've reformatted our day camps. We've gone from 60 spots in our most popular camp to 100 spots. For this coming summer, we opened up day camp registration on Saturday. It's always a little bit of a nervous day for us in terms of, hey, let's make sure our software system holds up to the demand. But again, really strong registration. we're really glad to see with those 100 extra spots, we still have some openings. In a number of the weeks, some of the weeks are already filled, but it's telling us that we're getting a little bit closer to being able to meet that need. So I will have Rick back here in a couple months to give a recreation sort of programming update. But I just want to give that update, really a public kudos to our recreation team for just demonstrating their ability to or take a new look at how we offer our camp programs and make sure we're meeting community need. You can pause me if any of you have questions, please. Sticking on our programming side and our recreation side as we're looking at summer, July 4th. Before we know it, that's going to be coming upon us. I may have highlighted this during our budget update to you all during the winter, but with the budget reductions, we are not resourced the same as we were last year. And so July 4th, 2025 is going to have to look different than what we did last year. You might remember if any of you came, we had just a great turned the community center lawn into a big field of fun, a ton of activities, and thousands of people came. It was a great event. This year's event is not going to be able to look like that. We just do not have the finances to be able to pull that off. What we're planning now for July 4th, 2025 is still do the parade, work with executive office and other departments to have the sort of kids and pets parade down Front Street, and that would then terminate at our Front Street Park properties with a community picnic, where we will look at getting some food trucks and other food vendors, invite people to bring their own picnic and food, and culminate the parade with a community picnic there at our Front Street properties. So a little bit smaller event, but hopefully one that's just as community focused and just as community fun. Do you know who in the room might know what 2026 July 4th is going to represent for this country? Anyone around? I wasn't the only one around in 1976, but 1976 was our 200th, the bicentennial. This will be I'm just going to say the 250th. It's the semi-quintennial, something along those lines. It's not nearly as elegant to say as bicentennial. So there's a lot of planning that's beginning to happen around towns around the country around what does the 250th look like. Knowing that we're making this change in 2025, the mayor's asked and has created and is in the midst of is accepting applications for a July 4th community group commission to begin taking a look at 2026 and beyond. What does Issaquah want its 250th to look like, and really allow a lot of that community engagement and community work to help define maybe what not only 2026 July 4th looks like, but what does it look like moving forward here in Issaquah? But really let that be a community-based conversation. Some of you, many of you may know, July 4th was really not a program that the city ever directly did for decades. That was done by Chamber and other nonprofit groups, and it really wasn't until these last couple of years that the city began to play a more direct role. Don't mind playing a more direct role, but obviously always need to look at resource allocation and whatnot. So 2025 will go off and look a little smaller. 2026 planning will be underway here in the coming months. So if you know of anyone who might be interested and really has a passion for the 4th of July or interest in what that would look like, please spread the word that commission is being formed. Hearing no questions, I will keep going. Why don't we jump to project updates? So you've gotten updates. Our fearless park planning and development manager here, Robin Spears, has been doing an amazing job. Any of you that ever have done a capital project know it is really complex work when it comes to working with a contractor, to handling everything from contract questions and change orders to invoicing and billing and all of that. And you've just done an amazing job with both of these projects. It's pretty rare to be under construction with one park planner and two capital projects happening, but happy to give some updates on some great progress that's happened. Hillside Park is now open. We've been calling it a soft open, and that we're not waiting for a ribbon cutting. A few photos here that really highlight the play area. Be interested to hear. It sounds like a couple of you or spouses or friends have been scouting it out, so would love to hear the feedback you've heard. We've certainly gotten a lot of very positive feedback from neighbors and others. If you go up there to Hillside, you'll see the trails and picnic areas, general areas are now open, play areas open. We're keeping a big chunk of the lawn fenced for the coming months, just to allow that grass to get a little bit stronger. If you want to go through a couple of these photos, Santi, there's a couple more shots of the play area. Robin, please add any thoughts or comments you have, but.
I love the play area. Really turned out really nicely. Beautiful benches, very large wood benches that were custom made for the park. This is an Earthscape playground, which came out of Canada. So that's why we were a little delayed opening, just because waiting for that to be custom built and delivered. But everything went really well. Contractor was really great. We do have new planting. So if you could kind of avoid that area where you see the new plants just until they grow a little bit larger, that would be great. But now the field looks really good. The field's draining really well. Our anticipation area is working. I love the path. The path is a really nice kind of feature where the playground's a little bit hidden. So that's not the first thing you see, which is kind of ties into the theme of the original park, which we really liked. Yeah, that's really tucked back in. So that's not the first thing that you notice. But yeah, we did fence around the area where they were pulling in the equipment back and forth. So they did reseed that. We just need to give that a little bit more time to grow. Yeah, and the nature trail looks really well. Everything just flows really nicely out there. So it's a fun park.
Share this, the fun work you did with the Girl Scout troop.
This was a really unique thing where the Girl Scout troop actually contacted me and wanted to do a little library. So they actually did a presentation, they did drawings, they came up with themes. We went kind of through the whole design process of what we would typically do on a very light level for a park. So it was really cool to see them engage and get into that. And that was their ribbon cutting last week. So they filled the library, and there's also a geocache in there. So, which is going to be on our sustainability tour too. So there's
a great example of what a neighborhood park should be. Right. This is a walk-in neighborhood park. We really want the neighborhood surrounding Hillside Park to really feel like this is their park. And so so glad you did that, Robin. And fun to sort of walk them through the design process.
Yeah.
Your permitting process wasn't nearly as intense.
Oh, I did. I just got a Girl Scout. It was fun. They did a great job. Yeah, it's a really personal touch to the park. Yeah.
Yeah, and as Robin said, the field itself is performing as we wanted it to. You remember we relocated the wetlands, so another part of this project, we don't have signs for it or pictures of it. I'm happy to give that to you later. The new wetland that's been created down on one of on the Issaquah Creek corridor at Park Point, the lower portion of Park Point is done and performing really, really well. So look for early May. We're going to have a ribbon cutting and a party, a neighborhood party. The neighborhood's really, really excited to co-host us with that. Once we get dates confirmed, we'll make sure that you all are there and invited for what's going to be a fun celebration. I think, actually we have, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, as somebody that's been down there a couple of times, I just wanted to, compliment the work that's been done. It's a beautiful job. And the draining is going quite well. So I have one question, which is there's one picnic table on gravel and two on grass. is the one on gravel meant to be handicap accessible and the other two are in the grass because they're considered not handicap accessible? I just wondered what the thinking was there with the differential.
Yes, you're correct. The one on the pathway is ADA accessible. You'll see at the end, there is a portion that doesn't have a bench. So that's intended for a wheelchair to scoot under there.
Okay, that's great. That's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm it. So I have one comment about something that I'm already starting to see, which is when you walk into the park, if you're going to the playground, the path very nicely takes you down, winds down to the playground. But people go to the park that aren't going to the playground. And there's already, foot traffic you can see, like cutting around to the left side of the baseball diamond or, cutting over to the trail that goes down Squawk. And I know that there was some, so I'm just wondering what kind of thought process we might have to have about accommodating people that are just going to take the shortest point between two distances, especially, like I said, not everybody that goes to the park is going to go to the playground. And the second piece I wanted to ask about, which is to elaborate a little bit more about the back bowl area that was part of the original scope of work, but got, I guess, pushed back for a later date. Are there timelines, thoughts? Is that a hope it happens? It's going to happen. Where does that stand?
Yeah, I'll handle those, Tim. Great questions. The trail itself, you're right. The ADA trail that you see meandering down to the play area is not meant to be the only prescribed route to get through the park. It was really intended, one, to formalize an ADA route down to this new play area. But we hope that some of those existing historical pathways and just walking through the cedar forest to get to the field, that is still something that will be encouraged as just general park use. So yes, you do see this new formalized trail, but it's not meant to be the only way to handle foot traffic. So we're expecting to see those sort of multiple uses and pathways to get to the field. In terms of the portion of the project, the sort of stairway and the little bowl area, the community gathering space on that, you see just if I can directionally sort of would be just north of the play area here. So if you're at the play area, that top photo, if you recall, if you were to keep going north, kind of where Robin has the pointer there, there's going to be a seating area there in that wooded area. You're absolutely right, Tim. That was, as we opened bids, you remember we needed to go to city council and ask for additional funding to do this. We also created bid alternates because we had a hunch it was going to be over budget. So we had to get some additional money, but we didn't have enough additional money to do all of those bid alternates. So that portion of the project was a bid alternate that was not awarded or not approved. So yes, would need to be done at a different date. We do not have a defined budget specifically for that project. Our thought has been, as we're going to be doing community work and community outreach on the loop trail portion of this project. If you remember, the loop trail, sort of taking a look at entirety of the park, the 40 acres, creating a loop trail, that we would take a look at that sort of design and see how we might incorporate that into one of the phases for the loop trail in future years. So it's not that work is not lost. It's just something we'll try and incorporate into some future work.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Seeing no other hillside questions. Real quickly, our plazas project, plural, the plazas. Here's a photo of how the senior center entry is really beginning to take shape and really in many ways it's become very redefined. The shelter area is up, as you see. please go down if you have some time to take a look. You remember some of the work we did with our veterans, and making sure that that memorial is not only preserved, but really given more prominence. So now it is going to be, as you see in that planting area, but a whole lot easier for community members to get up next to and actually read. Forward to seeing how the veterans are responding to that work. The plaza is also really beginning to take shape. You can't see it out of this picture, but to the east side of the senior center, the bocce ball court, and some of the play area is coming together over there as well. Next slide. Over on the pedestrian park side, tons of activity happening there. With the vault that was built, nearly or getting close to complete. Lots of concrete work that's been happening. Again, I'll turn it over to you, Robin, if you've got any additional work. But again, just kudos to you. Any capital project is complex. When you do it in such a relatively tight urban area, it becomes that much more complex. It is looking like with the contractor that the senior center area will be opening a little bit earlier. We had thought about holding off and opening these all together, but we think there may be opportunity to open up a big portion of the senior center area while the pedestrian park area is still getting wrapped up. Anything else to add?
You'll just see a little bit more congestion at the Ped Park area. We are going to start. We have the final pour for the lid on the vault. The vault's going to hold all the mechanical equipment for the water feature. So that's one key piece they need to finish now so they can actually drive over it and start on the other planter areas. But it's going to get a little tight in that corner. Yeah, concrete comes tomorrow for the lid. So we're excited to get that done. And after that, storm drain is already in, sewer is already in. So they're going to finish up the water line connection, I think, within a couple weeks. Then you'll see the planters start coming to life. So they're moving as fast as they can, weather permitted, but they're really kind of ahead of schedule on the senior center, and they're staying on schedule for Pet Park. So this is exciting.
Any questions?
Yeah. Can you just remind us, roughly what the anticipated opening dates are for this?
Senior center, it looks like the soft opening could be early May. They're trying to shoot for late April, but depends on when the stormwater grates come. We heard those are coming earlier than we thought, so that's great. Ped Park's really dependent on the water feature, which they're starting to manufacture or fabricate the first piece of it. So we think by July, maybe early August, Ped Park will be open. So
still opening in the summer. Yeah.
The water feature will be the last piece they drop in. So the key.
Any other questions? Robin's done a great job of working with the restaurants and the other Front Street businesses to, again, do everything we can to mitigate impacts during construction. So those are our projects. Here's a little closing shot of the new walking trail along the sort of the buffer edge of Upper Hillside Cemetery. It's really beginning to come in nicely and looks it's like a natural forest floor trail. The last item I had, thank you for letting me have this along with it. Lots happening. Just a bit of a reminder, the April 28th Park Board meeting is going to be a joint meeting with the Arts Commission. Exciting work to unveil there and really get your feedback and the Arts Commission's feedback. You might recall one of the projects we identified, smaller projects we identified, but pretty impactful, is a sort of a safety and art installation at what we're calling the Three Trails Crossing. So Gilman, where East Lake Samaras Trail and Rainier Trail meet, and where the Juniper Trail come. We're going to have we've hired an artist to sort of give some renderings of what that art could look like. And so really look forward to, I'm not going to be able to be at that meeting, but Robin and Amy will certainly lead that discussion and that effort, and look forward to getting your feedback and helping really inform what design sort of makes the most sense and what we move forward to. Also at the April 28th meeting, you're going to get an update on our 6-year capital improvement plan. So the 6-year CIP, if you recall, is updated every 2 years. All of your great work through the park system plan update, all the community outreach we did with the park system plan, if you recall, when we prioritize those capital projects, we put them in near-term, mid-term, and long-term buckets. Robin and I and Rick are now in the midst, and Asante are in the midst of taking those near-term recommendations and informing that 6-year capital improvement plan. Robin will have a chance to come and give you an update on that, get your feedback on that CIP, as that will then be going to City Council in May and June for their final blessing. So look forward to running that by you and make sure we're squared up and consistent with what those priorities were coming out of the park system plan. So lots going on. Thank you for that. Give me that time for that update, those updates. Question, that's it. Yeah, I can keep going.
It's an impressive skill.
No.
All right, thank you. Then with that, I don't think we have any youth representatives
Not tonight.
tonight. Just love their participation. I don't have a full report. My report is, if you notice at the end of the agenda packet, on the very last page at the top, there's the Heritage Tree Program update, which will be coming at the end of the year. And I started thinking about this. I sent an email because there have been some public comment about it. I would like to just ask you all to look at the what we are tasked with doing relative to that. Park Board is tasked with doing. And think about the role you think the Park Board should have in that. It's a complicated issue, and it's maybe bigger than it could be made bigger than it seems. So I'm putting that out there. We have many months, but when it does come up, I think it's going to move fast, and there'll be some decisions made.
Great crap.
That's it. Me. And I think. If we have any other business, anyone? So started 6 minutes late and 46 minutes early. It's a record. Remember this. Remember this day. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks all. Night, Tim.
Good night, folks.